Welcome to the Good Life Podcast. My name is Kyle Cassie, and I'm a minister at North MacArthur Church of Christ. Today I have with me Chris Miller, one of our missionaries that we support in New Zealand. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
How's the jet lag? Feeling okay?
Yeah. It's taken me 10 days, but I'm back. I'm on key. So
there you go.
thankful.
Just in time for you to return home on that long flight.
Exactly.
And have to go through the whole jet lag thing again.
Exactly.
What was your route kind of coming over this time?
We're basically LA, and then we did a stopover and caught up with my family there.
Oh, nice.
And
yeah.
They live in Huntington Beach, and then we came on through to Oklahoma City. So it's a pretty good route. Yeah.
Good deal. And you'll kind of do that same thing going back?
Yeah, we'll do a little longer stop this time.
Oh, good. Very good.
Family.
Well, we are so happy to have you. It's been a little bit since you've been able to visit, maybe a couple years, I think, since
3
the last
years.
time you were here in Oklahoma City, and it's always a blessing to have you with us. You can tell from his accent, he is true Kiwi. He is born and raised in New Zealand. And so I thought I'd have Chris on the podcast to kind of tell us a little bit about him, who he is, how he became a Christian, why he got into ministry, why he's working with the church there in New Zealand, and some of those things. So let's start, Chris, with how did you become a Christian?
Well, it goes back. My great-grandfather came to New Zealand in the 1800s. He was a congregational preacher for a church there. And obviously, somewhere along the line, it came to my grandfather, not quite as strong. It came down to my father. By the time I don't know if you ever read Wilkinson's book called Three Cheers, and he talks about first chair is committed, second chair compromises, third chair is a little bit of confusion.
Yeah.
So at the time it got to my father, there wasn't much left, sadly, but he would do one thing with me. He would pray for me at night.
That's great.
And that prayer that he didn't really do with my siblings, I don't know why not, but he did with me. And that instilled God in me, though I didn't act on it till years later.
Right.
And so it was later on that I was traveling, sold a business in New Zealand and a small food business, and traveled, and God was luring me.
Yeah.
And he lured me to basically California with me and my friend who were traveling around. We'd done 18 months in the US and Canada, and ended up in Ventura. And one night pulled in. My friend didn't like all this. I had a little Bible in a brown paper bag, and I'd pull it out occasionally because I brought it.
Right.
It was like an alcoholic trying to drink
trying to hide.
And trying to take this in. And the more I found myself in that bag, pulling that Bible out. So I said, I've got to find a church.
Yeah.
And he was against that, but we pulled up outside, and there were a group of young girls, pretty young Californian girls standing at the entrance. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. And so they said, well, do you want to come in? But does your friend want to come in too? Because he was going to drive off and come and pick me up. Yeah. And I went over to him, tapped on the window. I said, these girls would like to meet you. I think that really fired him up. You locked up that car pretty quick. And he put it that way. And came on in. And it was there that they took us out for ice cream afterwards. 24 hours later, we basically were in a Bible study, and 11:15 that night, both of us became Christians, baptized into Christ. Changed our lives. And they committed for us. We'd study twice a week with them. They didn't want to let us go until we were all sort of grounded. And then they sort of said, guys, it's probably time to fly the coop. Yeah. And we did. And we would go everywhere around the US and then into Europe, bought a Volkswagen camper van, traveled, stopped at places, and especially at campsites or in little corners around Europe. And we'd pick up studies with people and have conversations. Yeah. So it inspired me. So that was kind of that journey to that. And my friend was we did it tag team together. Yeah. And so it was a rich time of growing, forming our own faith on our own, having to study and so forth. So, yeah.
So the American audience to this podcast might not be as familiar with the gap year or the, hey, we're going to take a year off of work and go travel, which is a common thing in Australia, New Zealand. And so kind of going around, saving up some money, going around the States, going around Europe, that is pretty common for Aussies and Kiwis to do that. And so that kind of allowed you to get that kind of first taste of ministry. Like you were ministering, you were studying with people, you were meeting people, and that kind of got you that first taste into ministry.
Yeah. We'd go, as we'd travel, we'd go and meet different congregations of the Lord's Church. And through Europe and Dijon, France, and then Scotland and East Kilbride and London and different places. So that was kind of, as I was going, we were doing ministry kind of freelance, you might say.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously that was stimulating us as we had conversations with people. We were growing in our faith. Back then, we had these little things called tapes that we'd pick up from churches and plug them into our little cassette player in the van, you know, and listen to sermons. But that was kind of why we fed ourselves as we were traveling. But it kind of inspired us that this gospel, we just loved it, fell in love with it, fell in love with the Lord, of course.
Yeah.
And just wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so that was early stages, though, because as I went on, which probably the second part to that is that I went back to work, went back to New Zealand, started working for Toyota. And I got a call one day from a guy, Talbar, in Oklahoma City here, that rang me, says, would you like to come over and work in the US for this company, which is called Office World at the time.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, Melinda and I had just got engaged, and I kind of said to her, listen, if you pick me up a job in the US, I'll come back, because I had a good job with Toyota.
Right.
And I think she's not going to pick me up a job. Well, sure enough, about a month later, I get this call. And I thought, well, it's got to be the Lord. So I came over here, and that's where I connected with Cherokee Hills.
Yeah.
And that relationship developed. And but it was in that time I started to study with people and felt kind of a bit of a call, but really didn't want to say I was heading to ministry, but felt very much I love this sharing the gospel.
Yeah.
And then it was some people that basically said to me, Chris, would we ever considered, going to a Bible college or So I started looking around thinking, if I do, I might just go to college and get back into another job or start another business and head back to New Zealand at some stage. And so it was Peter Craig who founder of the Bible College in New Zealand called the South Pacific Bible College, came through, and he kind of put a charge into me to said, listen, what's holding you back? And I said, well, I don't want to be a poor missionary for a start. And, how am I going to live? Because I've just got we're just newly married.
Yeah.
And anyway, to cut a long story short, he inspired me, put it to prayer, and go and ask the elders at Cherokee whether they'd get behind you.
Yeah.
And they said, we'll get behind you.
Yeah.
And it was that inspired me to go to New Zealand, still had no intention to get into ministry fully.
Right.
And it was my last year of Bible college that really made me think, I've got to do something with this. And I felt a need so much more. And so it's been really 43 years now that I've been in ministry. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I want to back up just a little bit, because you mentioned Melinda, your wife.
Yes.
So how did you kind of come across her? How did you meet her? I should have had that. I should have asked that a little earlier, but how did you meet Melinda? Because that kind of, with the being open to a job in the States, being to help you be closer to her, that kind of then kind of took you back towards New Zealand to be a missionary back there. So how did you meet Melinda, and tell us a little bit about that?
Well, in that travel, those 3 years that we were away, obviously I started praying for a Christian girl.
Yeah.
I've been in the world. I came to the US looking for everything else but.
Yeah,
and
right.
Here I am now looking for a Christian girl, praying for that. Didn't know where that's going to be. So we end up coming and stumbling into Ireland, into a church in Limerick, and there was a group from Harding that had basically left Harding and basically given their life to start a church there. And there was a group, and there were also some from ACU, Abilene Christian University. And so they had all kind of moved on and wanted to start this church in Limerick. So I stumbled in there, and there was Melinda. I liked her.
Yeah.
She was an opposite than me, but she didn't like me.
Yeah.
She thought I was a bit this forward Kiwi guy that was too full on. But that night, there was a dear sister there, Miss Ryan, and they were going round and all saying, well, who has touched your life? And she said, this girl sitting beside me, Melinda. And I could see that girl had an impression, and I thought, I liked her, but she wasn't letting me in on this one. So as she's leaving, she had a big coat on and had the belt loose, and somehow she swung around and got caught in the rose bush.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is my moment of glory.
Yeah.
Stepped forward and unhooked her. And kind of from there on, the rest history. She kind of rewrote to each other because I was traveling around Europe. And it was probably over a 2-year period. Finally, she comes to New Zealand, of course. I go back and last week, and I proposed to her, and that's how we ended up in the US.
Yeah, that is an amazing story. And so how long have you been married now?
We're coming up 44 years now. We're 44 years.
And then kids and grandkids, what are your stats?
Well, I've got 3 children. I've got my eldest son, Aaron. I've got my daughter, Abby, and I've got my youngest son, Nathan.
Yeah.
And I've got 4 grandchildren, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because, thinking about what God can do in our lives, the grandkids and kids, you don't have those. You might have other kids or whatever, but you don't have those ones because if you don't meet Melinda, you don't meet Melinda unless you don't meet those folks in Ventura, California.
That's right.
And and maybe you don't even meet the folks in Ventura, California if your dad doesn't do those prayers with you at night.
That's right.
It's amazing how tiny little things God can use in our lives that bring you down this path that is, like you said, 43 years of ministry now. And that is just amazing.
And if I could just slip in there, there was one other influence. We have what I used to have, and that bringing back in a slightly in New Zealand, some schools, is Bible in schools.
Yeah.
And so they come in for an hour, and this lady, this tall, lanky lady would come in and teach us about Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever heard. My father never really taught me about Jesus. He allowed me to pray, but she taught me about Jesus.
Right.
So I give credit to her. She's gone on, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
But she gloried to God because he used that one woman who's in obscurity, God used. And I just think so often we realize we underestimate our own influence on somebody. We just plant a little seed, and that seed was in a little boy that went home and listened to his father. We prayed, and that was all that was generating in me. God was using that little morsel in return, but return back to God void. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. While we were in Australia, that was my favorite things to do was scripture class.
Yeah.
We started with a school with a smaller group, and then another school was like, "Hey, we need more scripture teachers. Would you come?" And this one was like a massive group.
Yes.
It would be like kindy to year 2, and then year 3 to year 6. And the year 3 to year 6 was like 50 kids. So we had them in the hall, the main hall, and it was like an assembly, and it was awesome. And who knows what the impact is, but I love the metaphor that the Bible uses for faith when it comes to like agriculture, horticulture. The growth of a plant, it starts as a tiny seed.
That's right.
And then there's lots of germination, there's lots of watering, there's sunlight. All of these different factors play into it. And then there's growth, and then there's fruit that comes from it.
Yes.
And, we don't always know what that's going to be like. We don't always know what the seeds that we are spreading. We don't know what that all might be. Well, Chris, you've traveled back and forth a little bit, and then you got connected with Cherokee Hills, which is a congregation not too far from us here at North MacArthur in Oklahoma City. But how did you kind of come into contact with us? How did you get connected with us that we now support you and we now sponsor you as a missionary in New Zealand?
Well, I think it was members that were at Cherokee Hills, obviously. People move on. And Richard Dodgen and probably Kenny Dixon and people who have spread and come to this congregation and others.
Yep.
And they probably brought some about my work. Of Melinda and I. They had a fondness for us. So relationships. And so they come over here and obviously introduced us to this church. And so it brought a relationship that has been going on for a number of years now.
Yeah. And that, I think that's really, from the outside looking in, you have some pretty close relationships with quite a few families here. The Daces, the Rhodes.
That's right.
You have really, and really some of our members have really embraced. You guys have both embraced and have those really strong Christian bonds, which can be so hard for missionaries at times, feeling isolated when you are in a smaller congregation away from other Christians. To know there are people over here praying for me, that are concerned about me, that want me to do well.
Yes.
And what an amazing just benefit that God gives us to have the church family kind of overseas.
Totally. And I would classify them, they're my cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And they cheer me on. And they're rich, good friends, go back 44 years, some of them.
Yeah.
And can't put a price on that because they receive us and encourage us.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah. So kind of getting the nitty gritty a little bit of your ministry and some of what you do. I have kind of the question I gave you was, what does your normal week look like? But more of kind of what is your focus on ministry? What is your strategy maybe in how you're spreading ministry? And kind of tell us a little bit about what you do as a minister, as a missionary.
Well, it's got many tentacles, I could say. I'm an elder at the church where I'm at Otamotai. And with that, also a mentor. So, a week, and I'm not going to go through a week fully, but we meet at 7:30. We talk about our Sunday morning. There's about 7 of us and 8 of us, and we meet and talk, and we digest what we're doing and how we're putting over our message. And then I'll have various Bible studies during the week, some with young Christians, some with non-Christians that I've baptized. And then I'll study with leaders, like I'll get with leaders that are through my internet connection, and they will be in Chile, South Island of our country and other regions, Thailand and so forth. So it's kind of a very broad sort of ministry, but I feel very empowered to make sure they're getting the word, but also making sure I'm hearing their hearts. Because a lot of these guys are isolated.
Yes.
I have no one to talk to. Wondering where they are and what are they doing, and they've been caught sometimes with a small congregation that's sometimes struggling and trying to figure, how do I lead this forward and so forth. So I'm there as a listener and as a bit of a voice to encourage them, to hear them. And I think that's so important, and I see the benefit of that because often some of these brothers will share some deep struggles that they have, and I want to make sure that they're not alone in that. So that's a little bit of what I'm doing, and of course, obviously, prep for all that takes time because these different situations, you don't want to sort of just put out the same mold.
Right.
You're making sure that you're trying to touch base with what they need. And then I travel to sometimes to different places, trying to reduce that a bit, trying to be a little bit more selective of that now. But, I've got a brother wanting me to come to Chile next year. He's got a bunch of leaders there, and he wants me to get there. So whether that's meant to be the Lord's will, I pray into it. I tell him no promises, but let's talk,
That's great. It sounds very relational.
Yes.
You're very focused on building relationships, building not just relationships with Christians and members, but relationships with non-Christians and spending time in the community, meeting people, starting Bible studies. And then of course because that's, you need to do the outreach side of things. You also need to do the spiritual growth side of things for those who are members. And then you need to do leadership development for those who are gonna take your place. Right?
Yes.
And that, not in the sense that literally there in Tauranga, they're going to take your place, but just that we need more ministers, we need more missionaries.
Yes, we do.
There is a lack of willingness, I think, maybe, but just a lack of personnel. We just over across the Lord's church, we need more people to devote their lives to ministry. And I wanted to kind of drill down on one thing real quick, because you had mentioned the South Pacific Bible College.
Yes.
And so that is there. Is it housed at the Otamotai Church of Christ?
Well, it was originated out of the Otamotai. So it's birthed. We're the mother of that, probably. However, it's like a teenager. It's gone on and become a young adult, and it's got its own formation and characteristics now. But it's connected to Otamotai, obviously, and we support it. I went through it in 83, 84. So it's been going many years. It's not large, but it's an intricate part to the South Pacific. Because we have students coming in from the Fiji Islands. We have people coming in from the Solomon Islands. From Australia. We've had them from Thailand and a number of places. So it's that captures those ones that can come. It's going a little bit more online now, obviously, with the trend that's happening. And that's going to be a change for it. We just hope that it won't lose all the students, and we've got some that have come, and that's going to be reduced. So I'm not sure how that will go in the future, but hey, we're trying to keep up with things. And obviously, I'm not a fully associate it in the sense of the running of it,
Right.
but I see the students that come
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
And I mentor some of those students. They get with me
Yep.
privately. They go on, Bible studies with
Yep.
me, so I'm training them.
Yep.
Like one young man, I took him with me and we baptized a guy recently, and he's been now, while I'm away, he's actually running the study.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll take a group. Like I went to Thames recently, which is about an hour and a half away, heard there was a guy which is searching and wanted to become a Christian. So we went up there, took a team of about 7, 8 of us,
Yep.
and we studied, and he was baptized. So they're watching, so I'm mentoring all these young ones, and they're watching how I do it. So I enjoy evangelism myself. Obviously, meeting someone at the gym, connecting with a person there and end up baptizing him. Someone coming to my door recently, knocking and selling me solar panels, and end up baptizing him. And so there's all these different relational things that I'm in the community.
Yeah.
So if you hang around me a little bit, that's kind of what you're going to hear is that my heart for Jesus.
Yeah.
And,
you had mentioned about you went to South Pacific Bible College and you studied there.
Mm-hmm.
And, my own experience at going and, pursuing a Bible degree, it's great to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's even better is then the applying it.
Yes.
And, talking about how taking some of those students with you on Bible studies, seeing what it takes to share the gospel with someone who oftentimes have very little Bible knowledge.
Yeah.
I think you definitely encounter this in New Zealand, where a lot of people, they know that Jesus gives us the holiday of Easter, and so we have a 4-day weekend, and we get Christmas and Boxing Day off. But much more than that, it's unknown, and so being able to really sit and, especially with someone who's experienced, and learn those things, invaluable to their faith formation and just learning about ministry and learning about just following Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could push into that a little bit, just, we have a very secular culture.
Yeah.
Like Australia.
Yeah.
And so we're dealing with people that sometimes are just plain atheists, and probably majority are.
And you even mentioned evangelistic atheists, where they're trying to convert others.
They'll give booklets on why you should be an atheist. And so, we've got Richard Dawkins strong and alive in New Zealand in different forms. So, and that sharpens them up. And, I think the love of Jesus, it's like I've got an atheistic neighbor.
Yeah.
And, taking Jesus, showing love to him, which I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Is, as he said to me, you're my favorite clergyman, Chris. So, trying to be a little Jesus to these people and waiting for moments, because I think breakage is always going to come into all of our lives, whether you're Christian or non-Christian. So you look for those moments of breakage. Yeah. And it's there that I can pray. That's what I said at the first thing I say, let me pray for you. So that's opened up conversations. I hope it'll open up more. Yeah. And so that's the way I use it. I just look for situations. Sometimes we'll just do a little street prayer where we take younger ones and we'll just go and meet people on the street. And it seems that nobody turns down prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems to me that, well, two things. One, that is more and more the case even in Oklahoma, right? We call ourselves part of the Bible Belt, which is true and still in some sense. But I think more and more there are people who maybe less so in Oklahoma that are hardcore atheists, but more agnostic, where it's like, whatever. That's not really for me. So that's one side of it. But the other side of it too is just being, I love how you put that, being Jesus, showing them Jesus's love. And that can be tricky for us at times when we have this culture that wants to kind of oppose a lot of what Jesus stands for. So maybe, especially in a place that has so much secularism around you, how do you really focus on, loving your neighbor as yourself to those people that really disagree with you on so many levels?
Well, I think first of all, it's being kind.
Yeah.
And I think two words I use, you've got to be friendly and kind. Yeah. And if I'm kind, if I'm friendly first, welcoming, interested in them, asking questions about them, it's a bit like the guy that I met at the gym. All I did is ask a lot of questions about him. Yeah. Till finally they'll turn around to you. Yeah. And I'll get down to the philosophy of try and get layers.
Yeah.
Rebecca Pippett once said, you've got to get to the core.
Yeah.
And you start with the layer and you get to the core. And so I just work towards the core, which is their philosophy. What drives them, what makes them live today. And with that, with the kindness as you move into that and listening to them, they'll then be willing to hear you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this. It turns around, well, what about you? And I just said, well, I believe it. I'm a creationist. I believe there's one God. And that opened up conversations for us to get a coffee later on that week.
Yeah.
So, it's just being that. Now, some people are not going to still even receive that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's not the season. But I think out there are people, if I show kindness, it was just the other day, we were at a coffee shop here in Oklahoma City, up here on the north of the city here, and had a breakfast, and this lady was waiting on us, and I just asked her, well, hey, before you go, and she was chatting to us and was interested in the Kiwi accent.
Yeah.
And I said, anything I can pray with you? And suddenly she stops, and you could see a little emotional, and she's going through a struggle, a divorce.
Yeah.
Got a single child. And so she literally got down on her knees, and we prayed for her, invited her to North MacArthur and so forth. Well, it's just being kind.
Yeah.
It's being friendly and kind. And so if we can start with those basic things, let God do the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, as you talk about that, there is a God-sized hole in everyone's heart.
Exactly.
And all we have to do is just kind of point people in his direction.
Yes.
And they will happily come to him.
Yes.
And like you said, some people might not be the right season for them.
That's right.
Might not be ready for that.
That's right.
And that's okay.
Yes.
Our goal is to be that sower and keep sowing the seed.
Yes.
And that, we actually I taught a class this past spring on parables, and we talked about the sower. And I was like, one of the things that maybe is overlooked in that parable is the generosity of the sower.
Yeah.
He's not just, which a normal person, like a couple years ago, I redid my lawn. So I'm trying to make sure the grass seed falls into my lawn, not into my flower beds, not into my back porch. I'm trying to get it in where I want the grass to grow. The sower isn't like that. He's generous. He's putting it in places where it's not going to grow, but he's still sowing the seed.
Right.
And we should have that same attitude of, we're going to sow the seed of kindness, of being friendly, of praying for people, of just starting conversations from a spiritual perspective with everyone we come into contact with.
Right.
We're not going to prejudge. We're not going to say, well, that person's not going to be open to it anyway, so I'm not going to do that. And even those that are the closest to us, like neighbors, even maybe extended family, we should be treating everyone like that.
Yes.
I think
that's right. I think there's the principle of casting.
Yeah.
And we've just got to cast and not be selective in the casting. God, and I think even the most stoic person or the most stiffer person or perhaps the bitter person, cast on him too, because God can work on that.
Yeah.
And for us not to prejudge, as you said, I think it's very important,
Yeah. So kind of as we kind of conclude, I have a couple final questions for you. But our whole theme this year has been the good life. The blessings we receive right now through our relationship with God and through our faith in Christ. You had a very successful business before you became a Christian. You sold the business, you kind of cashed out, used the money to travel around, probably enjoyed a lot of those travels and those kinds of things. And of course, you still travel now, but your life radically changed when you became a Christian.
Definitely.
And your life changed even more when you started into ministry and working with the church in New Zealand. So what makes not only ministry, but also just being a Christian, what makes that the good life in your opinion?
I get to do the eternal.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference now. Before I was doing it for me and in the world, but now I get to change lives for eternity.
Yeah.
And, it's not that we're all got different jobs to do. Yeah. But let's make sure we're planting seed for eternity. And I get to do that full time. Yeah. And I get to see how God works. And when conversations come up, I go, well, I'm just pointing people to Jesus. Yeah. And so I get to do that and train people to do that and equip people to do that with the word. And so that's a good life. Yeah. I am very blessed to be able to do this for 43 years.
That's awesome. So let's do two quick hitting questions to the end. What is your favorite passage of Scripture and why?
Well, I have a lot, but I suppose one that's been on my heart lately would be James chapter 1 and verse 2. Count it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing the testing of your faith produces endurance. Let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If anyone lacks wisdom, let him call on God. You know what I mean? And I think the whole thing is that trials are there to, don't waste them. They're there actually to help you grow with wisdom.
Yeah.
And we're going to have trials. I've had a lot of trials. My family has trials. So I always say to people, what's the wisdom that you're getting from this? So you don't have to repeat it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go back in the drink again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think trials are there to grow us. And I meet members that are going through immense trials, but to capture the wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd say, God is with us in the trial. He's growing us, but capture the wisdom so that you can pass that forward to others.
That's great. And then finally, what is your favorite worship song?
Probably an older one, Need of Grace. I need grace just like anybody else. I'm fallen and I need it every day. The blood of Jesus. There's no greater song to me that we're in need of grace.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be grace that's going to get me there.
Yeah.
Get any of us there. It's not going to be my works. It's not going to be my good deeds or the great ministry I've had.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Jesus Christ and his blood. And so in the need of grace, that's where I'd be at.
What a great focus on wisdom through trials and the grace of God.
Absolutely.
Pairing those two things together helps us to have that good life that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Chris, for chatting with me today. And thank you to all who are listening. And until next week, grace and peace to you.